UEFA Nation League France vs Austria. Talking about the formation of both the teams, France were playing in 3-4-1-2 formation and Austria were playing in the 4-4-2 formation. Austria were pressing with front two in open play. As Austria's front two were central and narrow, Austria's front two were able to cover only the central zones and wide areas were left open. France's wide backs were operating slightly high, so after France's wide backs were received the ball, Austria's front two were out of game. But advantage of staying deep and central of Austria's front two was that they kept Tchouaméni out of game by blocking the passing lane of France's pivot Tchouaméni, and Tchouaméni was unable to receive the ball behind the Austria's front two. If France's another pivot Fofana operated alongside Tchouaméni, he was unable to receive the ball behind the Austrian forwards, so it was useless for France to use double pivots. So generally France's second pivot was operating with Griezmann as an attacking midfielder. On the other hand, Griezmann and Fofana were operating respectively in the right half space and left half space at the beginning of the match. On the paper, France had two strikers, Oliver Giroud and Mbappe. You can see here both strikers' position. Oliver Giroud was occupying the central zone and Mbappe, who was in the role of second striker, and he was operating in wide areas. Because Mbappe was drifting wide in open play, he was dragging the central defender, and Austria were leaving only two defenders centrally with Oliver Giroud, and Oliver Giroud was 2 vs 1 in front of centre back and full back. As we discussed, Mbappe was drifting wide and dragging the central defender, so there was space between two Austrian central defenders and the French pivot was ready to run between the two central defenders if the pass was played. Due to Mbappe and Fofana operating deep and wide, France were overloading the wide zone. France's wingback Mendy was already in wide zone with Mbappe and Fofana, so France had three players in the wide zone, so they were dragging the fullback and two midfielders. Because Mbappe was drifted wide, so Austria's fullback will have to be tight on Mbappe, and it was forcing to Austrian central defender to drift wide. You can see on this how unbalanced Austria's defense was. Because now France had overloaded the wide zone, Austria's midfield and defense were tracking wide zone and the far side was completely open for wing-back. With Griezmann joining two strikers in open play, France were forcing Austria to defend narrow and central and creating centrally 3 vs 4 situation. You can see here in open play, the French wingbacks were providing width by staying high and wide. If the ball was on the right hand side, then the Austrian fullback would have to stick with the right back of France as the midfield of Austria's midfield was central. So didn't have support for Austrian fullback and the Austrian fullback would have to stick with the French wingback. You can see here Austria's defense was one-on-one with Mbappe, Griezmann, Oliver Giroud and wingback Klaus. So when the ball was switched from the center, the wingback Mendy on the far side was free to receive the ball. On the other hand, France were attacking with front five with both wingbacks, and because of that Austria were 4 vs 5 down high on the pitch, which was alarm bell for Austria. In the first phase, Austria were starting with a short pass from the goal kick. Both Austria's central defenders were split wide alongside the goalkeeper. France were pressing with front three in the first phase. Mbappe and Oliver Giroud were pressing centre backs and Griezmann was on the Austrian pivot. If the Austrian goalkeeper played the pass to the Austrian pivot, he was under pressure from Griezmann and would have to release the pass first time. And when the return pass was played, Griezmann continued to press the pivot, and due to the pressure on goalkeeper was playing riskier ball. Now let's talk about the France defense. Austria were building the game in back three in open play and fullbacks were providing width by staying high and wide. Austria's centre backs were split, so front two of France had to cover lot of distance and front two of France were unable to deal with this situation. So Austria's pivot was centrally receiving the ball easily between the two centre backs. When Austria had the ball position, the French wingbacks were dropping deep. Because France's mid three was central and the wingbacks were operating deep, so France had no protection in the wide zone and the fullbacks of Austria were easily receiving the ball in the wide zone.